Hey guys, this is Samuel the Geek, and today I want to talk about Game Pass. Some of you may or may not know, but I am a very recent subscriber to Game Pass. I resisted it for a long time, didn't think I'd have time to play that many games, and just chalked up Game Pass to being kind of a gimmick. And I have to say I was really wrong on a lot of that. I think Game Pass is an incredible product, but based off my usage for the past couple of months, I have to say I have no idea how this is going to be a sustainable platform. In case you haven't heard, Microsoft is actually killing Xbox Live Gold, which is just the standard gold pass that lets you play online games. And they're making everyone shift over to Game Pass. Now, this is probably a good idea. Having two subscription services going on at the same time is confusing to the customer, and they're basically trying to make Game Pass the Xbox platform at large. Basically, they want the Xbox to be a Game Pass box, kind of like a Chrome box is for Google's content, or an Amazon Fire Stick is for Amazon's content. They basically want you to pay for Game Pass, and Game Pass basically be the Netflix of games, and the Xbox just being the physical item portal to get your TV to play it. Now, this all sounds really good in theory, but I have no idea how any game developer is supposed to make money on this thing. Right now, as you can see, I must be right, because if you look at the game library of Game Pass, most of it is like Xbox 360 games or Microsoft-owned properties, or, fairly old games into this new generation. It's very rare that a game gets on Game Pass like fairly recently after being released. And if it does, it's usually a Microsoft game. And I have no idea how they're going to sustain this for the long term. Now, I don't have an Xbox Series X or a Series S. I'm still using an Xbox One S that I bought to play some video games with some friends about in 2017, and ended up not using it that much. But when I moved into my new home, I decided to hook it up and start playing. And I decided to purchase Game Pass. That's basically replaced all purchasing of video games to me. And that's another thing too. I don't really see if you own Game Pass, there really isn't a reason. If you're a casual gamer, which I basically am nowadays, I don't play video games as much as I used to. I think I get through like 1 or 2 games a year, and my most played game right now is Duolingo, not even joking, on my Android phone. And I don't see myself really going back to buying video games by using Game Pass. And I could see the reasoning behind Microsoft's idea of saying creating a Netflix of games would basically make them a platform that Sony or Nintendo would have difficulty competing with. But the biggest problem I see is third-party developer support. Now, that probably wouldn't have been an issue if Microsoft had a good first-party support, but they don't. They've bought all these game studios, and they're more than likely going to acquire Activision. But for some reason, Microsoft just doesn't want to pull the trigger and make all those games exclusive. And in all honesty, I think that's the only way that Game Pass will be successful. If Microsoft makes all of these new acquired properties from things like Bethesda and Activision and all these other game studios that they buy, if they make them exclusive. They can't, get people to buy into Game Pass if they don't get people to get the subscription numbers up. And that's the only way that third-party developers are going to sign on to this thing. If Game Pass on PC and Xbox have like millions and millions and millions and millions of users and are actively using the downloading service to express interest in games, that's the only way I can see the sort of buy-in that is necessary to make Game Pass a platform. And unfortunately, the Xbox is not in a real great position to push itself as the vehicle for that platform either. Microsoft is solidly in third place in the console war this cycle, as they were in the previous generation. And I really don't see them trying to get out of it. I think the Xbox Series X and Series S branding has to be some of the worst branding I've ever seen and is incredibly confusing. It's even worse than Xbox One, which was really confusing too. And now you have, like, seriously, you have the Xbox One S, the Xbox One X, the Xbox Series X, the Xbox Series S. These are all products that are very confusing for the average person to understand what they are, unless they know video games well enough. And I think, the branding there is just part of the problem. There's just really no draw to the Xbox, and they haven't found a way to keep a steady stock even for the people who do want to get it. And I don't know. I really don't know how Microsoft is going to dig themselves out of this hole. Maybe if there's like a mid-gen launch, like I heard that there might be a PS5 Pro, maybe Microsoft needs to relaunch the Series S with a whole different name, whole different branding, possibly a whole different look, because the Xbox Series S and the Series X just look like another version of the Xbox One also, and that's part of the reason why the branding is so bad. Maybe just return back to Xbox, get rid of everything else, it's just the Xbox, and from there they can just use that as the platform name. Just like iPad, there's iPad blank generation, but the actual product is not called that. It's just called iPad. And I think Microsoft needs to do that with the Xbox also. I also think Game Pass is a weird branding name, and it will be difficult to sell people on. Maybe try to rename it to something else. I can't even come up with something on the fly, or Xbox Pass or something like that. Try to fit the name in there. Because I don't know. I think Game Pass is an incredible product, but I don't understand the long-term strategy here. And I really don't see, they don't really market it that well either for people to buy an Xbox over a PlayStation because of Game Pass. And now that PlayStation's coming out with their own similar service, Microsoft needs to figure something out. Anyway, I hope y'all are doing well and y'all are safe. And until next time, Samuel out.